Guys, it's Chaz back with another episode of Law Have Mercy. Today's episode, we're going to take it off topic. We're going to talk about running. If you are interested in running, if you're not interested in running, I hope to inspire you. If you want to get better at anything in life, listen up to this episode because I hope to inspire you with some thoughts about running or physical health. It's meant the world to me. To sit here and talk about running like I'm some kind of expert. I have to evaluate really what's going on here because this is the last thing I ever thought I'd be talking about. But I started my running journey around COVID when I messaged a friend and said, "Hey, two of my buddies, Iz and Jed, shout out. They had just finished a marathon, and I'm an athlete and I'm competitive. And I said, hey guys, what's up with this?" And they invited me to join them on a Sunday run. And here we are 4 or 5 years later, and I've run 4 world majors, and I've gone all around the country and world running, and it is essential to my mental and physical health. And I think I've inspired a lot of other people to run. One of those people I inspired to run is Kevin Hernandez. Shout out, Kevin. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Chaz? Good morning.
And so he's gonna pipe in today and talk a little bit about his running journey, which he started July or August, maybe
August.
Okay, and how that has impacted his life. And we want to give some advice. We want to talk about it, maybe inspire you. We're going to give you some pointers of where to get started, and if you are an existing runner, how you can get better and where you could take this, right? And how you can experience this life and include your family and bring lots of joy to a lot of people. So without further ado, I'm going to just get started. I started my journey, and we started running on Sunday, and I had run a half marathon, 2 or 3 half marathons a couple years prior, and I followed Hal Higdon's app, and I ran on my own, and it was fun. And I think I lost a couple pounds, and I did something I never thought I would do, is run a half marathon. And I started running with these guys. And what I realized is on Sundays, it became a ritual. Every Sunday morning, I would run. That's what I do. So I became a runner. A runner is one who runs. And what I didn't expect was the camaraderie. Us having an hour together, and instead of drinking coffee or in my prior life drinking a bunch of beers at a bar, we would talk about life and business and family while running. I didn't think that was possible. And I really took to it. And then we started inviting more people. And then soon I realized, man, these guys ran a marathon. If they can do it, I can do it. And instead of running a half marathon, I'm going to run a full marathon. And so next thing you know, man, I was running 12 miles, 13 miles, 16 miles, 18 miles, and I ran a full marathon in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge. And I did it in 4 hours and 1 minute. And to think of where I was physically before that happened and where that ended up, it was unfathomable. And the thing that you think when you're on mile 20 is, I'm never doing this again. I'm never doing this. What the heck was I thinking? I'm never running another marathon again.
I think about that at mile 1 sometimes.
Yeah. What? And what's crazy is, and when Kevin started, and he said that, I said, by the way, mile 1 is the hardest. No matter how long you've been running, mile 1 is the hardest. And an hour after you get through and you got the medal around your neck and you see what you just accomplished, you're like, man, when's the next race I can sign up for? Like, your memory it's kind of, I guess it's like childbirth, right? I'm never doing this again. And then next thing you know, you can't wait to have another child. I'm equating marathon running to childbirth, by the way. So I'm going to fast forward. We'll go through some of the stories of some of the marathons I've run, but Kevin started working with us in July 1st, and our kids both play select soccer. And so we have to bring them to Broussard, and we have an hour and a half there. and the parents don't participate in the practice at all. You literally just drop your kids off, and most people just wait for their kids. And I say, Kevin, what if we start running in that hour and a half? There's a beautiful park right here to run. Let's do it. And Kevin said, I think so.
Right. But what you're not telling everyone is the loaded part of that statement. You didn't say, hey, let's run. You challenged me to do the Triple Crown, and I had no idea what that was.
Yeah.
And so you knew from my personality, I'm going to challenge him. I'm going to do something to put his ego on the chopping block. And so I told you what, let's do it, not thinking or even bothering to ask, what's the Triple Crown challenge? How many miles?
Yeah.
I was thinking it was a 5K.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. So I challenged you to run the Triple Crown. I said, look, you don't have to go to New York, run the New York Marathon, just do the Triple Crown. And the Triple Crown is 3 races locally. And do you remember which one?
Yes. The first one is what used to be called the Big Pete.
Okay.
Right. So it's a 8K. So 5 miles. The second one is the one downtown, the Cajun Cup, which is 6 miles, or it's a 10K.
It's a 10K.
So that's what, 6.2?
Yes.
And then the one that's in 2-3 weeks is the Alcoma or the Vermilion Run, which is a 10-miler.
A 10 mile. So you have to complete 3 races in the race season. And so it's an 8K, a 10K, and a 10 miler.
Yeah, October, November, January.
Okay, and you've done 2 of them.
I've done both. Yeah, I've done the first 2. I did the October and then November.
If you could remember when we were in July, what did it sound like when you knew you had to run an 8K? Did that sound like completely unachievable?
Yeah, I mean, it caught me off guard to think I'm going from 0 miles. I'm going to skip a 5K, right? The most traditional run that I've ever done in my life was a 5K. And even that, the idea of running for 3 miles or 30 minutes or 31 minutes, however long it's going to take me, I was like, man, that's just miserable. Who wants to run nonstop for 30 minutes? And the biggest challenge in running those 5Ks was the time.
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, I'm 5 minutes in. I'm like, I have 25 minutes left to go. Oh, wait, I'm going slow. I have 28 minutes left to go. And so when you finally told me what the Triple Crown was and that my first race was going to be 5 miles, I was like, okay, we're going to have to talk about this.
Yeah.
We're going to have to talk about this because I remember our first run or attempt to run in August in Broussard where the elevation is, the hills are slightly an incline, right?
Yeah.
Like barely an incline.
Most people don't even call that an incline.
At all.
To us, it's a mountain.
Yes. And I remember we weren't even a quarter of a mile in, and I looked over at you and said, I need to walk for a minute.
Yeah.
And so week 1, I could not run a half a mile. And so I looked at myself and thought, how the hell am I going to run 5 miles in the next 6 weeks or 7 weeks?
And it's not like you were super out of shape or anything.
No, I wasn't. I was maybe 10 pounds heavier than I am now, right? And I've worked out over the years. I've ran over the years. I know what it feels. You kept
yourself in good shape.
I know what it feels.
Your clothes fit you,
right.
and
I know what it feels like to run a mile. I know what it feels like to run 3 miles. Even at that moment, at that time, I still knew what it felt like. I guess my worst enemy of all this was always time.
Yeah.
I always thought to myself, I have to run it fast. No one ever told me to slow down. Well, I say that. My wife's always told me to slow down, but the competitive side of me tells me, why would I slow down? Why would I run a mile in slower than 10 minutes? Why wouldn't I run it in 8 minutes? Because that's what you hear, right? Someone says, oh, I ran a 5K. What was your time?
Right.
Not did you finish. What was your time?
Yeah. But then you got to step back and say, I'm 38 years old or 40 years old. Right. And it's not a sprint.
Wait. Don't lie to the public. I'm 26.
and it doesn't look a day over 26.
There you go.
But I remember I was bringing you out there and I was like, hey, Kevin, wear shorts and shoes and we're going to go run. And how far are we going to run? I said, don't worry about it. We're going to run. And, I said, when you need to stop, we'll walk. And to your credit, you came with your shorts and your old tennis shoes. I don't even know what kind of shoes you were wearing at the time. And we just started running. And August August heat at 5:30 in Louisiana. Brutal, hot, humid, sticky, brutal. And it was pretty much like at our whole training season, August, September, October. It was miserable pretty much all fall, right?
Absolutely. I think the only, up until the last 3 or 4 weeks, the only run that I had in good weather was the 8K. It happened to be, I think it was like 59 degrees, 60 degrees, which made that run enjoyable.
Yeah.
Especially compared to the August run where, one, I'm barely running a mile and I'm struggling and it's 102 degrees outside and I'm sweating at a quarter of a mile in.
Yeah. And so it was so funny. You got all the parents there with their kids watching them play soccer. And then Kevin and I, the practice ends at 7.
At 7.
And so Kevin and I are rolling back to the practice area, drenched wet, completely wet, drinking water, and everyone's just sitting there and just playing on their phones, and we're completely drenched.
Our face fully flush.
Fully flush.
Right. Sweat coming down all parts of your face. Your hat's completely soaked. Your clothes are completely soaked. And I'm looking at you going, where's the water fountain? You want a Gatorade?
Yeah. And so the first thing I did with Kevin is say, look, man, we're going to run, and we're going to run at a slow pace, 11-minute mile, 11, maybe even 11:30 miles. And we're just going to have a conversation. And we literally would run at a conversation pace and just talk. And it was a great time because you had just started with our firm. And so we would talk about business.
Right. Talk shop.
Hey man, what do you think about this case? What do you think about this? What do you do in this situation? Here's some of the things where I think you guys can improve in the firm. Here's where, how we did it here, how we do it. And it was enjoyable, very enjoyable. And then quickly we realized it went from 1 mile to 2 miles to 3 miles to 4 miles to, I don't know, did we ever get it? I think we probably got up to 4 or 5 miles towards the end of the fall.
Yes. So before the Big Pete, right, or whatever it's called now, which was 5 miles, I think we had gotten up to 4 miles. And so that was in October, or was it September? I think from the moment we started running to the moment I ran the Big Pete, I had about 6 weeks, 7 weeks. So I had to go from 0 miles to 5 miles in about 6 weeks.
And so if you're listening at home, you can literally start walking now and start mixing in some jogging, and in about 6 weeks or 8 weeks, you can run 3 to 5 miles.
Yes.
Believe it or not.
But the key is your pace.
Yes.
Right. You have to put aside the fact that everyone that runs is doing an 8-minute mile, a 7-minute mile. Because at this point right now, my father-in-law says it best, right? Because he was a college athlete and he loves to run. He's done triathlons and every other thing. And he always tells me, you're in the building phase. Stop worrying about how fast you're going and just learn to run the distance. Yeah. Like, slow down. Just, if you're going to run 8 miles, figure out what pace you need to move at to get to 8 miles.
So your first tip, if you're listening at home, if you want to succeed in running, is run slower than you think you need to run. You want to stay in zone 2. Because what that does is builds your mitochondrial base. I'm not a chemist or biologist. I don't play one on TV. But you need to run slow because your body becomes more efficient at delivering oxygen to your body and continuing to move if you run at a slower pace. If you start off sprinting or running full speed, what you think of running is really not running, it's jogging. And at times, what is jogging? Where you're almost like a walk and a jog. That's how you build up the endurance. Go slow. And really the first piece of equipment that I would recommend people get is some type of watch to monitor your heart rate. And you want to stay in the zone 2 area. Kevin has an Apple Watch. I have an Apple Watch. Garmin's another good name brand. You don't need to spend a bunch of money. They make them as probably $100, $200, but you want something to measure your heart rate so you can stay in that zone 2.
Right. And it requires patience. Something that I lack. If you ask Elena, I lack it completely. I always tell her, that's all right. God made me in his image and he just left that out. Maybe by accident, but it was too late. He just said, whatever, we're going to go with it. But the idea of running a mile that most people can do in 8 minutes and saying, I'm going to take 12 minutes to run 1 mile. You don't realize how long 12 minutes feels until your legs start burning and you're 5 minutes in.
Yes.
And you haven't even made it halfway yet, right? Like you haven't hit half a mile yet and your legs are burning. And so to slow down and just accept the fact that it's going to be 12 minutes to do it. I can't tell you how many times I started running in the past, right? Because I picked up and put down running so many times over the years because I said I wanted to be a runner, but I never did it right. I never looked up to see how to do it right. I never asked anyone advice. I just told myself, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to run what I think is a half speed, half sprint, or 3/4 speed. And at mile 1, I'm completely exhausted. Why? Because I ran it in 7 minutes, 8.5 minutes. I just went out there and gave it my all for 1 mile. And I thought to myself, I'm never going to make it to mile 2 ever.
Okay. You think you have to be patient there at Broussard Park with me? Imagine you're at the starting line of the New York Marathon. You got 50,000 other people. You've been waiting in a tent for 3 hours for your time to start because it's different waves. They're shooting cannons. There's water cannons in the waterway under the Verrazano Bridge. And you're listening to, they're playing this on the loudspeaker. New York, New York, Frank Sinatra. Okay? Now, do you think, that's a good one.
Getting you going.
So, do you think you want to shoot out in a 7-minute mile? Right? You're jacked up. 50,000 people, cannons, American flags, like the whole 9 yards. Everything in your body wants to take off at a 7-minute mile pace. But guess what? You got 26 miles to run. 26 miles to run. When you get to 20 miles, which is 3 hours of running, you're just getting started. You're just getting started, right? What do I always say? When you get to 90%, you're 50% of the way.
Right.
You're just getting started. So you really have to temper yourself. And that's where that watch comes in handy, not only on your to measure your heartbeats, but also to see your pace. You got to stay within yourself.
My first mile tells me how enjoyable this run's about to be, right? So my first mile is my key. I have to settle into whatever pace I want to run at in that first mile.
Yeah.
If I don't, it's horrible.
By the way, if you look at your watch and you see your heart rate jack up to 170, that's normal, right? Because you'll settle in. You'll go I go up to 150, 160 my first mile, and then I start seeing my heart rate come all the way down. Boom, boom, boom. I don't settle into my run until about 3 or 4 miles in, and then I start seeing my heart rate continue to drop. It's amazing. I think it's just the way we're programmed. Poof. We think we're running from a bear or a lion. Heart rate gets jacked up, and then they realize, oh, okay,
well,
I can do this.
You get excited, and usually, well, for me, like in the local races, 90% of us are amateurs. We just going out there because someone said, "Let's go run a 5K." Yeah, and the person in front of me is, I don't know, a 71-year-old man.
Yeah,
right.
I'm about to dust him,
and I'm thinking to myself, if he can do it, I can do it, and he takes off running. And my natural instinct is to follow. Or I see a person of my equal age, maybe is in shape like I am, or out of shape, or better or worse, and I see them, they take off, and I'm booking it next to them and do not realize that I'm moving faster than I'm trained my body to do. And at the half-mile marker or the 1 mile marker, I'm breathing heavy, right? And you're like, uh-oh.
Burnout. It's called burning matches. And you only have so many matches to burn.
And and you can't actually recover. I mean, I guess
you can't actually recover. No.
You can think you're going to recover, right?
You're not.
You're going to slow down. You may walk. You're going to grab water or Gatorade.
It's burnout.
It's now the next 3, 4, 5, 6 miles, however, whatever distance you're running, it's going to hurt.
Yeah. It's the same with push-ups. Jeremy Holy at Raging Fitness, he'd always say, hey, break those push-ups into smaller sets than you think you can do, because when you hit your wall on push-ups, you literally can't push yourself up a single time more. So pace yourself. I know you can do 10 this set, but do 3 or 5 and do more sets of 5, because when you hit that wall, you're done. It's actually, in running, they call it a wall. I hit the wall before. The wall. You've never hit the wall. I hit the wall. Wall means your legs literally don't work anymore. See, what happens is your body has about 1,800 to 2,200 calories worth of energy, glycogen storage. And when you hit that wall, your body has nothing left. And so your muscles start breaking down. You literally can't walk. And you got to you just will them into moving forward. I did that at 23 miles.
Why do you want to run 26 miles? What possessed you to run 26 miles?
So it was a challenge. It was a kind of a bucket list thing. It's a competitive thing. If they did it, I could do it. But once I did it, I realized that there's so much more to running. It is creating a callus in my mind, because it defies what the human body should do or want to do or be able to do. But you callous your mind into doing something. And if you can do hard things like run a marathon, suddenly being a great parent isn't so hard, or being a great lawyer isn't so hard, or going to court that morning isn't so hard. You just adapt your body to do hard things, and it carries over into so many other areas of your life.
And yeah, well said. You probably used this before, whether you did it consciously or subconsciously. I compare a hard task that I have to do to the bar exam. All right. I always, Elena, my wife and I talk about this all the time. I tell her, I endured 21 hours of testing, right? 3 full days
You survived.
of testing.
You survived.
How did we do that? I don't know.
I don't know.
Preparing for it, 60 days, 70 days of 12 hours of studying.
Yeah.
Just cramming in information.
Cramming.
That
7 a.m. to 2 a.m. studying.
That was miserable.
It was.
I've had some form of PTSD from that exam, and it usually gets triggered by I call it a stress stream. At 38 years old, almost 11 years after I took the exam, when I'm stressed in my daily life, I have a dream that I showed up to the bar exam and forgot to study, or I'm late for the bar exam, or I completely forgot to enter a section. And so that is my stress dream. So I always compare running or anything else that I'm going to do to the hardest event that I've accomplished yet.
Yeah.
And so we ran 9 miles, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yesterday when I was on the treadmill yesterday because it was raining and I didn't feel like going outside in the cold. So I ran on the treadmill, and I remember I was 30 minutes in, and I thought to myself, the other day I ran an hour and 40 minutes nonstop, and I'm only at 30 minutes. God, that's
a long time.
I'm an hour short of where I ran 2 weeks ago. The difference is in the treadmill, it's boring. No one's there to talk to. I'm trying to watch the football game, Notre Dame and
Penn State.
I'm trying to watch it, but all I can think to myself is, man, this is boring. This is miserable.
It is. It's tough.
And when we ran the 9 miles, it was enjoyable.
So our second tip to running is find a running partner or a group. It makes it so much more enjoyable. There's accountability there. Someone else is showing up because, it's cold at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. It's 40 degrees outside. You don't feel like doing it. You're never going to run 10 miles by yourself, 14 miles by yourself. You want some accountability partners. And when you're running, it's enjoyable to talk to someone.
Well, what they say, misery loves company.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I went and run with y'all on Sunday morning, and the idea of waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to Reds.
Yeah.
To run. I was like, they're insane. Why am I doing this? This is crazy stuff. And so I remember waking up, trying to squeeze in your plan, right? Wake up, coffee, eat, shower, just do something to get your body going. in a 30-minute time frame so I can drive from Youngsville to Reds. And I'm thinking in my head, I got to calculate, like, right, I want to sleep as much as I can before I go do this. And I remember getting to the parking lot and Christian shows up and he's hype.
Yeah, playing music.
And I'm like, what are they hype about? What are they excited about? We're about to run 6 miles.
It feels like you're going duck hunting
in
or something.
55-degree weather.
Yeah.
It's still dark outside.
Yes.
There's 10 cars in the parking lot, and 4 of them are ours.
Yes. But we're gonna talk about the Sunday ritual after, because that's a whole experience.
Yeah,
too.
it is. But my point is that, you know, you got to get your mindset to.
But something happens, Kevin, when you're at about 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. You got 9 miles down, 8 miles down. You're with your buddies. Everybody's sweating, having a good time. And you look around, and there's not a single car on the road, much less other people running. There's something that happens there where you look at yourself and say, okay, I am built different. I'm drawing my line in the sand. I am built different. I'm a dude that does hard things. I'm a dude that does unreasonable things. I am built different. And I can tell you, whenever we run all the way to my house from Reds, and I say, hey, Christian, let's go pop in here. This is a good water spot in my house. We don't have any other water around here. And my kids are up playing video games, and they see me come in sweaty, and they say, Dad, what's going on? I say, oh, no, we still got to run back to Reds. They're like, dude, that's the other side of town. Y'all ran here? Yes, son, we did. What is that? What kind of mark is that leaving on them?
Well, it shows. My kids are the same way, right? And so they're not accustomed to seeing me run. Now they are, but they weren't at first. And so when I first started running, my little girl would say, Camilla would say, how far did you run? It's like, a mile. Okay. And she wouldn't pay any mind to it. And then a few weeks passed. How many miles you ran this time, Daddy? I ran 3. That's kind of 4. Like, yeah, it is. It's pretty 4. And then it just can progress. And so when I ran 8 miles, I came home. It was after the Sunday run. I came home, getting dressed for church. And my little girl goes, Daddy, how far did you run? And I said, 8 miles. And my little boy's eyes got big. And he looked at me and goes, how far is 8 miles? I said, well, you've been to Daddy's office, right? You've been to Mr. Chaz's office? Yeah. I said, if you left our house right now and ran to Mr. Chaz's office, you still have 2 more miles to go. Because it's 6 miles from my house to the office. So I said, so if you run from here to Mr. Chaz's office, you still haven't ran as far as I did. You still have 2 more miles left to go. And so he's like, well, how far is that? He goes, no, that's very far. He goes, it takes us a long time to get there in a car. And so now when I come home, when I run, the first thing they ask me is how far am I going? And now they get on their little bikes. When I tell them I'm going to run 4 miles or 5 miles, or I'm running 3 miles in the neighborhood, because during the week you do the short miles, right?
Yeah.
They want to come with me.
Yeah.
Like, now they see Daddy, like, we're getting on the bikes. My little boy did 4 miles with me the other day, and he was pumped up about it.
If you sat around and ate fast food every day, all day, if you sat around and watched Netflix all day, what would your kids become?
They do the same thing, right?
So if you make doing hard things and running and a healthy lifestyle the normal, what are the kids doing? They're thinking that's normal. Right. Now put 2 years down the road where you continue to do that every Sunday and you're running 10 miles and 12 miles and 16 miles. Daddy's not crazy. That's just what we do around here is we do hard work and we run like crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's an example that they can understand very easily. When my little boy is tired of practicing and he says, my legs are tired, I go, well, my legs get tired too when I'm running, but I still have to finish. Yeah. And so he understands now, well, my legs are going to get tired halfway through practice, but I have to finish. My legs are going to get tired during the game, but I still have to finish. He started to understand the concept of you just push through it. Yeah. So in turn, he's getting stronger. I'm making pushing through hard stuff a norm in my household.
Kids learn from observation. They don't learn from you preaching to them.
Oh, absolutely.
They learn from observation. And so if they observe you doing hard things and finishing your run and getting up at 5 a.m. when you don't feel like it, they're naturally going to take those attributes on.
And look, kids are smart. When you tell a kid you have to run hard at practice and you don't run hard or do anything hard on your own, they're going to look at you and say,
it's a hypocrite.
I don't see you running hard. I don't see you sweating. Right. And so I didn't have to explain to my son that you run hard through push through it. He's just seeing it.
He's observing.
Right. Because I can tell my little boy right now, hey, I need you to kick the soccer ball with the inside part of your laces. And he's going to shake his head at me. And I can tell him again and he's going to shake his head at me. Or I can kick the ball without saying anything. And he's going to look at me and goes, how did you get it to do that? Or he's going to go and his coach is going to tell him, use the inside of your laces. And he's going to come home and go, Daddy, they taught me something new at practice. I go, what's that? Watch this. I mean, that's what I've been showing you for 3 weeks, right? They don't listen to us that way, but when they observe us doing it, they immediately pick up on it.
What else do we need to buy to run? Watch,
shoes, inserts. I didn't think inserts were important.
Yeah, I've been beating that drum for a while.
Have you ever heard people say I have flat feet?
Yes.
I didn't know what that meant. I just assumed that their foot was flat. Who cares? That's just how your body's anatomically made up. Oh well. And so I had my feet scanned or measured or whatever the terminology is, and they told me that I have a normal arch on one foot and less of an arch on the second foot. I'm like, okay. And so they recommended that I use these inserts, and I said, no, I don't need it. I don't need arch support. You're telling me my foot has an arch, so why do I need arch support? Like I'm not worried about it. And so I buy these shoes. You make fun of me, right? Because I bought the $160 or $170 shoes versus the $100 shoes, and you look at me,
go big or go home.
Well, you can't complain that you don't have the right shoes.
That's it.
And so I start running, and mile 1, no problem. Mile 2, no problem. Mile 3, no problem. And all of a sudden, we're running 4 and 5 miles, and I go home and I tell Lena, I'm not sure what's going on, but my left foot is cramping, and I point to it. She starts laughing. She goes, remember you didn't want to buy the inserts? I go, yeah. She goes, go buy them. I'm like, why would I go buy the inserts? Now, backstory, I tell you this all the time. Elena was a track star in high school, right? And a swim star. And so when she tells it to me, I know she knows what she's talking about, but I'm one of those people. You're just like your son. You need to observe.
Right.
It doesn't apply to me. And so I go, fine, I'll go buy these inserts. And it took me about a week of running with them to get accustomed to them.
Yeah, it takes a while.
But now, 8 miles, 9 miles.
Nope, no injury.
There's no pain in the arch, right?
I have inserts too, and it took me a while to get used to them, but I can't run without them now.
So shoes, right? But find shoes that fit you, right? Because whatever you run in is probably going to be different than what I run in.
Go run or
that's where I went.
Yeah.
And they make you stand on this little machine, and it takes a full scan of it, and they send it to you. So like I know which of my heels is smaller than the other one, which one of my arch is different than the other one. They even look at it and tell me that technically I'm a size 9 in one foot and a 9.5 or 8.5 in the other foot. So you think about that, right? Because our feet aren't exactly the same. So you have to account for that too when you're running.
So if you're listening at home, if you want to start running, get a good watch, get some shoes, think about arch supports or having a scan done of your foot so that you can wear the proper shoes. Get some headphones and find a running group. You need to find a running group to motivate you to run those long miles and to hold you accountable with others.
Yeah. I mean, I would normally not get up at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday if it wasn't for y'all. I wouldn't go to my little boy's practice and run 5 miles in the heat of October or September if it wasn't for you.
So on Sunday, I said, Kevin, I'm about to change your life. He said, I don't see how that's possible, Chaz. I mean, to go run that early. I mean, we'll go and do duck hunt. I said, listen, bro, just trust me. So he comes. We have an unbelievable run. All right. The runner's high is like nothing else. Right. Your endorphins are through the roof. You feel like you just did some drugs or drank some alcohol or something. You're on a different level. Then we go inside. We do the cold plunge, which is woo, right?
That'll wake you up.
Hot tub. we change, and then we have this delicious breakfast at Red's. And the standard is a croissant with sausage, egg, and cheese. And the egg is about the size of an omelet. Get some water, get some coffee, finish up our conversations, put our clothes on, look like $1,000,000. You out the door at 9:30, 10 o'clock a.m., and you're ready to conquer the world. Is there any better feeling?
Oh, absolutely not.
Is there any money that can give you that type of experience?
No, and if you would, when I first went, if you would explain that to me, I would have thought you were full of, full of BS. Now I look forward to it. I look forward to that middle part between when we finish running and when we're about to start the cold plunge and all that. Because for that 10, 15 minutes, I can look back and reflect on the fact that I just ran 8 or 9 miles, 7 miles, whatever it is we did. And I completed it.
Yes.
And on most days.
With your battle buddies.
Yes. And on most days, I think to myself, I could have ran 1 more mile.
Yeah.
I had 1 more mile in the tank.
But that's okay.
No, but my point is ordinarily,
you'd be
I
dead.
can't wait to the finish line.
Yeah.
Right. But so for everyone listening, here's a tip that I find works for me. I learned to run at a pace where I will enjoy the run.
Yes.
Right. Not just finish the run, that I will enjoy the run. When Christian and I did the 10K, he was like, hey, you want to push the pace? I'm like, no, I don't want to push the pace. He was like, come on, physically you're able to. I go, yeah, I can. I can push the pace if I want to. But it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt more than what it already hurts. And when I get to about mile 3, I'm only going to look forward to finishing.
Yeah. Not taking in the sights and the smells.
Not enjoying the run.
Yeah.
Making it miserable. And I told him, I want to finish this run and think to myself, when is the next one?
Yeah.
I'm not doing this again.
You're playing within yourself.
Yeah.
And I respect that, because I'm at a point now where I could run much faster on Sundays, but I enjoy hanging back and running with you and, just enjoying myself. Why? If I run too hard, I'm going to be on the couch the rest of the day. And I want to bring the kids to the park, or I want to go do whatever. We have baseball practice in the afternoon. I want to enjoy myself, right? Because what is this really about? I'm not going to qualify for the Olympics anytime soon.
Well, my legs are short, so I'm not getting that far. I'm 5'6". I always thought, my joke is it takes you less steps than it takes me.
I'm gonna tell you this one experience. I talk about intentional congruence, and it's when everything you do feeds everything else. And what I have learned in running, and I want to get you there, is when you can go on trips to do marathons. Because now you bring your entire kids. Just like they see you running, they're going to experience something being with you at the event. And so the best example is, the extreme example is New York. We go to New York to run the New York Marathon. That's a big deal. If you told me 10 years ago a dude ran the New York Marathon, I'd be like, whoa. I mean, just running a marathon in general, but like the New York Marathon, like how do you even get there? I've done it twice. Little dude from Sicilia.
And look, I'm running with you, and I'm still thinking to myself, how do you get there?
Right.
At the moment,
you're running 10 miles.
As we sit here right now, my brain is not telling me go figure out how to run 26 miles.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out how to go run a half marathon, right? So 13 miles. We got 10 at the end of January, and you've already challenged me to the half marathon, the Zydeco, in March or April?
Yeah.
And I'm already thinking to myself, how am I going to get to 13 miles?
But to go to New York, or to go even to Baton Rouge for a weekend for Louisiana Marathon, and bring your kids to experience not only the marathon, we could talk about that in a second, but like, dude, we went to the 9/11 Museum, we went to the Statue of Liberty, we went on high buildings, we went to nice restaurants, we went to Central Park, and just having that whole experience with them there, and knowing that Dad's running a marathon, and that's what all these people in New York are here for. and then seeing me on a route with 50,000 other runners, and they're on a street where there's 1 million people on the road. And then, of course, you saw that video that I posted on social media where we reunited after, and they came give me a big old hug, super proud. My business, because I was posting it on social media, my family, and my health, all together. Congruence.
Right. You created an everlasting memory, a positive one. And it creates good vibes, right? We joke about the good vibes, but it applies to everything that you do. Your job, because you used it for social media. Your kids, they now saw dad run a marathon. But they were in New York, right? They got to experience. I think you talked about this not long ago, how excited they were to go to the Lego store.
Yeah.
And your legs were completely shot.
Killed. Now you have a better appreciation for that story.
And you got up and you walked however many blocks it took you to get there to bring them to the Lego store.
Yeah. And there's a famous picture of me in the Lego cab, and I have no soul left in my body. I'm sitting in the Lego cab after running a New York Marathon. It was 75 degrees. It was a brutal race, one of the most difficult New York marathons of all time. And I went to the Lego store because I promised the kids I was going to bring them to the Lego store after the marathon.
Right. So at the moment, they probably don't understand that. But when they're 18, 19 years old and they're talking about New York with someone, or they're going to go run, they're going to remember, wait, Dad took us to the Lego store after he ran 26 miles in New York and traversed 5 bridges. Or how many bridges you have to cross?
Yeah, 5 big bridges.
The idea of having to go up a bridge and back down a bridge.
Yeah, because we don't have hills here. I tell people I could do heat or hills. I can't do both. And on that New York Marathon, I had to do both.
I don't like running over the Vermilion River when we go
by Rufino's.
Yeah, through River Ranch.
Yeah,
you know.
So where do you want to take this, man? Where do you see yourself taking this running journey?
As far as I can, right? And I say that one step at a time, baby steps.
Because you want to enjoy the route.
Yes, I'm trying not to put the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't want to run 13 miles before I run 10. I don't want to run 26 miles before I run 13. Like, I want to take it one step at a time, because what I'm learning is I'm enjoying each step. I figured out that it doesn't matter how fast I run it, as long as I run it at a good pace, I will enjoy it. And when I enjoy it, it makes me want to do it again. And when I do it again, it usually gets a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further.
And so if someone's listening at home and they've never run more than a mile, they're overweight or are in shape, it doesn't matter. What can you say to motivate them to get off the couch and try this?
Well, first of all, do it. Okay. And I would tell them, don't think of distance. Think of time. Elena tells me this all the time. Even my father-in-law tells me this all the time. He goes, don't worry about how many miles you're going to run. Go and see if you can run 5 minutes nonstop. And if you can, the next time you run, see if you can run 5.5 minutes nonstop, and then 6 minutes, and then 10 minutes, and then 11 minutes, and then 12 minutes, and 13 and 14. He's like, and you're slowly going to realize that you're increasing distance, right? Because the longer you run, the further you go. And so get up and do it. But I mean, it's changed a lot for me. It's changed a lot from a perspective standpoint, like even a health standpoint, a physical appearance standpoint.
You lost 10 pounds.
Mental standpoint. Yes. You know, I used to think of running as a moment of misery for 30 minutes. I'm going to go run for 30 minutes because I want to look good for this summer so that my shirt fits right. Now I run and I enjoy my 40 minutes of running, especially if it's nice weather. Like, I woosah for those 40 minutes. I'm like, oh, this is nice. But also because I'm in that first mile, I'm finding my pace. I'm finding where my legs settle in, and I'm like, okay, I can enjoy this for 40 minutes, so let's get it. So run and do it for a goal, right? Whatever your goal may be, and that goal may change. When I first started this, it was all about Chaz challenged me. I'm not going to lose this challenge. He challenged me. And now I do it for all kind of other benefits. I do it because my kids are learning from it. I do it because they're proud of me when I come home and I say 8 miles. When they ask me how far I ran, I'm realizing that they're keeping track of how far I'm going. And the bigger the number gets, the more impressed they are. Right. And then whenever they start telling me they want to ride their bikes with me while I run, like, that's an awesome moment. Right. Everyone, the congruence, right? At that moment, I'm spending time with my kids. I don't use my headphones when I run with them. I talk to them the entire time I'm running. They're passing me up, coming behind me. They're doing all that. And for that hour that I run, my wife's at home and she only has to take care of the baby. She knows where the two other ones are. We come home, they're exhausted. So they got to have activity. They got to spend time with me. I got in shape. I got to run. I got to clear my mind. And so running has so many more advantages, benefits than I thought it ever would have. Right. And from a health standpoint, look, everything's improving.
Running is everything. It's a healthy hobby. It's one of the only things you can do where the entire time you're doing it, it's maximum efficiency.
Yeah.
You're working the entire time. It's allowed me to clear my mind. It's reduced my stress. It's reduced my blood pressure. It's reduced my waistline. It's allowed me to develop unbelievable bonds with unbelievable men. It's allowed me to see the world in a different way. It's allowed me to enjoy the smell of bacon that someone is cooking in their home when I'm running and jogging and I pass in front of their house. It's allowed me to appreciate the squirrels running across the street. It's allowed me to understand the nooks and crannies and nuances in the city that I live in. It's allowed me to go to new cities like San Francisco and even New Orleans or Atlanta or Las Vegas. And putting my feet on the ground and running, I see so much more of the city than I would see from a car. It's allowed me to see beauty that's been around me the entire time that I never even knew existed. It's a beautiful thing.
And you can do it anywhere, at any time.
For no money.
For no money.
It's the cheapest hobby. It's the most efficient hobby.
Right. You know, the fact that we utilize that hour and a half while Samuel and Luke are practicing, my wife doesn't even realize that I'm going from the house and exercise. Well, she does, but my point is I'm not taking up any family time. Right? I know where Samuel is. He's at practice. I know where Camilla and Ellie and Elena are. They're at home doing their thing, homework, whatever it is, and I'm running, and I'm not taking up anyone's time.
Yeah, I'm running away from the homework assignment.
We're not going to say that out loud, but yes. But even when we run in the morning,
everybody's sleeping.
They're sleeping, and at 9 o'clock in the morning when I bust through the door with a bag of donuts and coffee, they're excited. I had coffee for Elena. Hey, babe, wake up. We got to go to church. Here's your coffee. Hey, kids, y'all want some donuts? And I've already ran 8 miles. I've already showered. I already sat in the cold plunge. I already ate breakfast. I already got dressed.
Guy time.
Yeah. Hang out with the boys.
Guys, I hope this episode has inspired you to at least start walking and maybe even running. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, cr@ChazRobertsLaw. I'd be happy to help you, or shoot us a DM. And if you ever want to join us on a Sunday run or a weekday run at St. Julian Park, love to have you.
All right. Hey, and look, last tip for everyone. You taught me this tip. Christian reinforced it, and Logan actually reinforced it as well. Even if you get tired while you're running and you have to walk, as long as you keep going in the same direction, you're good. Keep moving forward, and you're good.
Life lesson.
That's right.
All right, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hey, it would mean the world to me if you subscribe to the podcast and leave us a 5-star review. It helps keep the show free, and it helps us book better guests to provide more valuable content to you. None of the opinions expressed by my guests are that of my own, and nothing we talked about creates an attorney-client relationship or could be construed as legal advice. Hope you enjoy the show.